What's going on, everybody? So I spent 4 days with the Nintendo Switch 2 and tested over 40 games in my personal time and on the channel. And I decided before the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on June 12th, I should give my final thoughts and review on the console handheld hybrid. And so far, everything on the Nintendo Switch 2 has more personality than the first. The startup intro has charming music that's very Wii-esque and brings me back to the old Nintendo days. In fact, I've used the Nintendo Switch 2's setup music in a couple of my videos. But it's not only the setup music that has more personality, each icon has a particular sound effect that represents it. Even the eShop has a lot more personality with the way it looks and feels, directly comparing it to the first Switch. And going further into the eShop, I feel like this is one of the biggest changes from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. The eShop is worlds faster on the Switch 2 than it was in the first. The Switch 1's eShop was, without exaggeration, a total disaster from day 1 to year 8. And the Switch 2's eShop is a complete departure of what we used to know and loathe about the first. It's snappier, it actually looks cool, it's screen friendly. I remember every time I go into the eShop, I worry that my screen was going to burn in on my Switch OLED because everything was completely white and orange. But now the eShop is black and red, which looks very appropriate to the Switch 2's theme. It has more of a cooler look than the first, and it's 100 times faster. So you can really see the hardware progression just in the eShop alone. But going further into the personality of the eShop, there's actually a For You section that gives you recommendations based on the games you've downloaded before. And of course, there is a lot of shovelware, so you're going to see a lot of shovelware in that recommended section. And I just wish they would remove some of that shovelware because the Switch 2 really doesn't need that. And I can't reiterate how much I love the eShop on the Switch 2. I think it's one of the best e-stores that I've ever used, and that's counting Steam. I feel like Steam is a little bit convoluted on the Steam Deck with its verification system, and you have to uncheck the verification system to actually get the games you want, because most likely the game that isn't verified is going to work anyway. But you get the gist. It is complicated on other very popular e-stores. And getting into the actual gaming of it, Nintendo Switch 1 games run at lightning speed and load extremely quick on the Switch 2. Loading times on Switch 2 games do vary, but Hitman World of Assassins, even though that game doesn't perform very well, loads very fast compared to games that were pushing the Switch 1. And besides the loading times, the performance for one of the most popular third-party games on the Switch 2, which is Cyberpunk 2077, works exceptionally well, and it's pretty much at a smooth 30 FPS in handheld and docked mode. In quality mode and in performance, Cyberpunk 2077 goes a steady 40 FPS. And the performance and loading times are a result of having better hardware, better internal memory, and also using the Express microSD